Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6 is our chapter for this evening. Let's do a small recap. Let's go back to chapter 5 and start from verse 30 and just read it out. So chapter 5, verse 30, chapter 5, verse 30.
Go say to them, Get you into your tents again. But as for thee, stand thou here by me, and I will speak unto thee all the commandments and the statutes and the judgments, which thou shalt teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. Ye shall observe to do therefore as Yahweh your God hath commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Ye shall walk in the ways of Yahweh your God hath commanded you, that ye may live, and that it may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which ye shall possess.
It's very important, beloved. When we talk about definitely this verse, when we talk about keeping the commandment statutes, all those things, right? And the reason we want to do these things, beloved, is because this will happen. Okay? You shall observe to do therefore as Yahweh your God have commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. All right. And Satan is so good at deception, deceiving and things. People have turned to the right hand and left hand, but then you can still be what? You can still be in church. You can still be reading your word. You can still be doing all those things, and you have turned to the right or the left because you didn't do what thus saith the Lord. You got people fasting, doing all these things. However, because they won't be obedient to the commandments, statutes, and judgments, right? The Most High consider them going off. And you see a lot of people have zeal, right? A lot of zeal. People want to do all these things for the Lord. They want to do everything but obey what He said to do. So we know it's a spirit. You have people give up everything they had, their possessions, their things, right? But they won't still obey. People have cut off certain things, sacrificed certain things, but they still won't obey His word. All right, dedicated lives doing all these, churches be having, they used to have bake sales every other week and all, to raise the funds for church. Guess what? But still won't obey. Beloved, obedience is better than sacrifice. Once you sacrifice something to replace being obedient to his word, you have went to the left or the right. Okay? Broad is the way. That's the way to hell and destruction. All right? But narrow is the path we desire to be on. That's the path of obedience. But he says, few be found therein. If you look around, beloved, just look at what the Bible say, and we start to see this path get what? Start to shrink smaller and smaller. Right? Look at all the churches. Start doing some of the commandments, and you start seeing it start cutting them off by the thousands. Right? Up, what about the Sabbath? Up, that cuts off a bunch of them. Up, what about dietary? That cuts off some more of them. Right? And you just keep going, and you see what? That path is narrow, and very few that goes in. All right. So never get caught up on the masses. He already told you the masses is not going to, it ain't gonna, people ain't gonna be coming in through the truckload. So the more ostracized we feel, right? Man, I feel like, sometimes you get that Elijah, we shouldn't feel that way, right? But like, dang, is there anybody that's trying to serve the Lord? And there are plenty. Even though there's plenty that's going to hell, right? There are plenty that are serving the Lord. But it be what? Far in between. Because people rather do what they want to do than obey the word of God. And that's going to happen until the Lord returns. Let's go to chapter 6. It's the chapter for this evening. So, beloved, we want to be found in that path. We don't want to go to the left or to the right. All right. We want to make sure we are serving him in sincerity and in truth. And why I say that is because you can err, but if you do things in sincerity and truth, he can edify, he can bring you back in. So it's the spirit of the individual. If they really mean business with God, he is going to lead and guide. That's what the Holy Ghost said he's going to do. Lead and guide into all truth. So you might not run in, you might have some things off, but if you have the spirit of God, it's going to lead and guide you. We ask that the Most High, His Spirit, leads and guides us continually, right? With this walk. All right, Brother Kai, you done talked them up. Talked enough. All
Mm.
right. Now, verse 1 and 2.
Uh, Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which Yahweh your God commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither you go to possess it, that thou mightest fear Yahweh thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son's sons, all the days of thy life, that thy days may be prolonged.
All right. So I got a question for the class. When it looks at this seems like we only do this in the land we go to possess it. So since we're not in the land, because we say that land, Jerusalem, all that kind of stuff, right? They go in that land of Canaan. That's where the promise is. So does that mean we only do these commandments and everything if we're in the land? Because that's what it seemed like this law, the commandments are talking about. This, you just do this in here. But if you're outside of it, right? Like we outside that land, that means we don't have to be subject to laws and commandments of God. Is that true?
Oh,
Mhm. I'm saying these things because these are things they're gonna hit you with. Usually I only hear that with I don't know if anybody just here differently. Usually when it comes like the feast, that's usually one of the big ones they'll use. Oh, that's for the land. You do that in the land. Okay. He was telling you these things I commanded you. He wasn't just keep teaching them feast days here. He was teaching them the Sabbath, thou shalt not kill. He was teaching them all that. And he said, you're gonna do that in the land I possess. But this is how Satan will trick you. Because you don't want to do something, we'll throw out things. All right. There's some sincere people that don't know, and sometimes they're just regurgitating something their teacher might have told them. However, we want to get understanding. Remember, the only reason we serve in one God is because what? The commandments told us. The only reason not stealing, killing is because the commandments told us. So if we're going to say this is dealing with only in the land, then we don't have to do any of this stuff because it's all irrelevant because we're not in the land. All right. Why is he saying the land? Why am I making a point? Because, beloved, that's where they're going. Get the context. He said, I've got you. This is the land I promise you. When you get there, right, do these things. He was teaching them already outside the land. They was getting killed for going against outside the land. So we know it's not just predicated in the land, but he's telling you, you're about to go and possess it. Keep these things in this when you get into the land, when you go and possess it. All right? Just and this is just I mean, it should be more common sense, beloved, but that's it. He knows at this point he's not trying to put in there, oh, you're gonna get kicked out of it. So wherever he's speaking as you go and do this. This is what sometimes we tell me. You want to focus on what the goal is. I'm not even creating a plan B in your mind. This guy, you go there and you serve me. That's all you need to focus on. But some people that feel like they're about to, they don't want to do it. Well, what about what about we get out the lane? What about see, Mosiah ain't even trying to open that door right now. He just wants us to focus on when you get in there, this is exactly what you need to do, and you'll be good. This was forever for us. You submit to this Lord, you good. You're beating this land. There's nothing gonna remove you. So that's why he just when you get there, just do these things and you'll be fine. All right, that's it. But if we want to go deeper, of course, we already know scriptures where he knew we was going to sin and mess up. All right, he had a contingency plan for that as well. All right, verse 2. Why? Why, when you go there, do all the things that the Lord, Yahweh your God commanded to teach you, all right, that you may do them in the land, whether you possess it. But verse 2, listen to this, that thou mightest fear Yahweh thy God. All right. So this is teaching us a fear. People do not fear God if they're not doing these things. Right? That's why I always say it, fear God keeps commandments, right? If you fear God, you're going to keep his commandments. By default, you're going to keep them. But if you do not fear God, if you do not reverence God, you will not do his commandments. You will not do his word. Okay. Fear Yahweh your God to what? To keep all the statutes, commandments, which I command thee. So that's what it's about. All right. Not just for you, but also for what? Your children. All right. Those that's under your care, you are supposed to teach them these things. Listen, whether they go off the path or not, your job is to teach them the path. All right. You instill in them the things of God. If they go and grow up and choose to do what they want to do, that is not an indictment on you. That does not mean you didn't teach right. That don't mean you're holy. Don't connect the two. You want to lay down that foundation correct, though. So when they do go off, it should be what? It should be a conscious, like, no, mom or dad didn't teach me, right? It will get a conscious on them. All right. So you teach them the right way, teach her the right way, and you just keep it like that. Then it's on them. But the Most High can have the spirit of mercy and deal with them because you did what you're supposed to do, right? So that thou command thee, thou, all right. So you're going to teach yourself about these commandments and statutes, thy son and thy son's son. Let me say the street, my little son's son over there, all right. So my son's son, all the days of thy life, you got to do these things continually. Once again, this is a lifestyle. This is your heritage. This is your culture, beloved. We pick up every other culture but our own. We want to be everything else but what God has given us, has made us. All right? Anybody got anything for verse 1 or 2? Let's keep going.
Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily as Yahweh God of thy fathers hath promised thee in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our God is one Lord.
Read the next verse 2.
And thou shalt love Yahweh thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.
All right. Listen to this one. We're going to go to another spot, but let's do that verse 3 first. Okay. Hear, observe it, to do it. Once again, it's not just the hearing, all right, of the law, right, is good enough. We must be a doer, all right? We must be a doer, must observe it. And this is why it will be well with thee. See, a lot of people will give you, they get head knowledge, but they're not doing it. Even people that teach it, they'll teach a lot of stuff, but a lot of times they're not executing what they're teaching, okay? And if you don't execute it or observe it, it may what? It won't be well with you because the observation of it, the keeping of the commandments, that's what is going to be well with you, and that ye may increase mightily. Okay, because that's a blessing, beloved, to be able to increase. Have children, that's a blessing. Right? As Yahweh, your God of thy fathers, have promised thee, because he promised. How did we know he promised this? Why are you saying that he promises this? When did he promise us? Anybody got a reference point? When did he promise that we'll be increased mightily? Literally got to deal with one of our forefathers' name.
Abraham.
Abraham, right? His name gives us the sign. This is why it's good to know, right? We talk about the Hebrew and everything, that meaning behind it, right? Abraham meaning what? Anybody remember what does Abraham mean? Because Abram and they turned to Abraham. Anybody remember what that name meant?
Is it Father of Nations?
Yes, other nations. All right. And he and him, right? All they should be blessed. So he gets a lot of, a lot of things attached to him. But yes, he's going to be the father of nations. Remember, he didn't even have barely getting the one seed, right? He had the son, right? Even think he's getting one son. But then that to turn out to a whole nation. All right, thousands of people. It's a blessing. All right. Once again, the Most High is promising that we're going to get in this land, we're going to get blessed. All praise. All right. Awesome. All right. The fathers have promised thee in the land that floweth with milk and honey. All right. That is part of the promise. You're going to go to that land that floweth with milk and honey. All right. Once again, that is telling you the nutrients of the land. He doesn't give us a big old plot of land. It could have been a big old desert, right? Like, yeah, I'm grateful, but this ain't great land, right? Good land is what? the production of it. How good is the soil? Because the soil means what? We can grow abundance of food. So we don't have to worry about starving and things of that nature. So if it's flowing with milk, right? That means a lot of nutrients where a lot of things can be produced. Definitely with the cattle and all that kind of stuff. The eating is going to contribute to it. If you got the cattle starving and everything, they're not going to be able to produce that milk. Okay. So it's talking about that abundance of it. And then the honey. All right. Some people got different aspects of how the honey may be. But if you even think about the bees, right? They deal with the honey, but also what? They're going out pollinating and doing these things. So just showing it's going to be very, very prosperous, very, very good land. He giving us the best. All right. He's not giving us no mediocre. All right. Even though sometimes we give him mediocre. He tried to show us by what? Giving us the best. And that's why he has certain things that what? We give the best back in return. All right. That relationship should be perfect, beloved. Right? When you don't you desire just on a carnal level, right? If you have a partner, you want to give your partner the best. In return, they give you the best. That's a good relationship. What burns us out is when what? One person feel like they're giving everything and the other person's like just taking, right? It don't seem like it's reciprocated. Are we doing this to the Most High God? Okay. Does he feel it? Man, I give them everything, but they don't give me nothing. They barely want to honor me, praise me, right? All these kind of things. So once again, he's trying to teach us something with this. All right. So verse 4 and 5, Brother Kai, can we read that again? And then we're going to go to another spot. Let me see. Find it.
Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our God is one Lord. Thou shalt love Yahweh thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
All right. We're going to keep that. I don't know if we do it on Sabbath morning when you read it. I don't know. Did we? I don't know if we do that one. So let's actually go to it. I just want to find it. Let's go to Mark 12. All right, we're coming back, of course. Let's go to Mark 12 because that scripture get quoted again by somebody very, very important. All right. Mark chapter 12 and it's around. Okay. Mark chapter 12, and we'll start at verse 28. Looks like it's starting. Yeah, because that's something else. All right. Mark chapter 12, beloved. Mark chapter 12, verse 28. So now this should sound familiar. All right. We hear this. All right. Brother Kai, Mark chapter 12, verse 28.
And one of the scribes came, and having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, What is the first commandment of all?
All right. So there's different, this is in other gospels as well. All right. So sometimes the verbiage a little different. So they're coming to him, having heard them reason together. They're perceiving that he had answered them well because they was asking questions, always trying to tempt Christ. All right. They asked to him, so they trying to tempt him with another one. Which is the first commandment of all? So we look at the English, of course, it's looking like, I mean, the first commandment, right? But this is not first as in what's the very first commandment, right? We can look at it like, wait, this ain't the very first thing that was uttered, right? But first being the priority or the most important or the great commandment, right? What's the greatest commandment of all? What's the great commandment? You can sum it up. What would be the most important commandment? All right. Let's see how Christ answers. Verse 29.
Yahweh shall answer him, The first of all the commandments is, Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our God is one Lord.
Just read that, right? Read the next part.
And thou shalt love Yahweh thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment.
So, so wise giving them this answer. All right. Why do y'all think Christ gave him this answer? Besides it being the right answer. All right. Why do you think he answered this way? Anybody guess? What's the greatest commandment? A lot of them probably thought the answer that a lot of people probably say today, right? Some people could have argued, they'll probably argue the Sabbath or like they would have had a lot of different plethora ones. Not that they're not important. It's not the greatest. But he did something wise here, right? People trying to tempt you, a lot of times they're not coming with what? The right spirit. Okay, you have to be wise when people are trying to tempt you, trying to set you up. They're not trying to hear everything correctly. They're trying to find a fault or a flaw in it so they can exploit it. But what he did here, he bound them with it, right? But they couldn't move. And it's not a singular thing. Like we say the Sabbath, then they could argue the Sabbath is greater than it, right? They would have had a fight with certain things. Oh, you say eating clean is better they would have had something. That's what they was hoping he would have done. But with this one, he gets everything. All right. Listen, what's the first created law? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. All right. And what? I mean, this we serve one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength or might. Some scriptures say might. All right. So he's saying the greatest commandment out of everything that's written is to love Lord thy God with everything you have, beloved. What do you say? So it don't matter. Even if they try to specify it, that's the greatest answer. Because they wanted to point out one and catch them up. But he said, no, you need to love God with everything you have. That's the greatest. Because if you love God, Lord thy God with everything you have, you're going to do anything you about to name. Whether it's Sabbath, feast, dietary law, right? The cleanliness law, like whatever you're going to get. This is the greatest, beloved. Because everything the law is trying to do is what? Point us to this. Loving them with everything we have, every ounce in us. That's what the law is about. You can sum it up. That's what it's about. Brother Kai reads it every Sabbath, right? He goes to Ecclesiastes 12:13. And Solomon, the wise man, what does he say? Let's actually look at it real quick. All right. We'll come back here. We'll come back here. All right. But we're going to go to Ecclesiastes real quick. I know y'all know this stuff, but just reiterating and seeing how they all weave together. All right. So this is Ecclesiastes 12, and I just wanted to read verse 13. All right. Read verse 13.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
So Solomon, all the wisdom he had, all the books and great speeches and things he gave, he said, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. I know how Israel is. Y'all want what's the point? We got all this stuff, but just give me the main thing, right? You know, sometimes when you're impatient, like just give me the main point. Okay, I don't need all this stuff. What's the main thing? He said, you want to know the conclusion of everything? All this wisdom God is so you can fear him. It's like we read, right? In Deuteronomy 6. And what? Keep his commandments. This is the whole duty. That's it. It's all you can sum up this whole book, boil it down and smush. Fear God and keep his commandments. Yahushua ain't go and do all that. Fear God and keep his commandments. Okay? Love him with everything you have. Now, he did not stop here. All right. They try to tie him up. Now he about to throw a little thing at them. All right. Add a little extra to this. Okay. Now, verse 31. We're back in Mark chapter 12. All right. We're back in Mark chapter 12.
And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these.
All right. They put the extra caveat on there. Because some people, you know what people do? I'm loving God, and then what? I can treat my neighbor a certain way. You have this people that would disrespect their mom, their dad, they would disrespect their sisters, but right, just disrespect them and say, "Well, I'm doing it under the name of I'm loving God." He said, "Nah, you gonna love God, but also this thing is about what? How to love one another. It teaches how to love one another, how to deal with one another." So he's getting both sides because they had little issues and things. Their problem was loving one another. All right. And they will go under the guise of we're doing the commandments and everything. So this is why you can mistreat people. That's what they were doing. All right. So he's saying this is second like to it. This is great. Just like this one's the greatest. Guess what? Loving our neighbor as thyself, you can put that on the same level with it. That's what he's referring to. The second is like. All right, second, just like this. But that's all of them weren't ignorant, is beloved. All right, one of them did try to see who their neighbor was, but we'll say that for another time. But let's keep reading here. All right, we're gonna do the next two verses. But read verse 32, Brother Kai.
And the scribe said unto him, Well, master, thou hast said the truth,
Hmm.
for there is one God, and there is none other but He.
So the scribe said, "You ain't lying, master. That is true." See, all of them wasn't. I'm saying, listen. There's always some sincerity, brothers and sisters, in certain things, beloved. All right. Even though he's trying to catch him up, he was like, "No, you're right about that." Okay. So at least acknowledge that point. Let's keep going. The next verse.
And to love Him with all the heart, and with all the understanding, and with all the soul, and with all the strength, and to love his neighbor as himself, is more than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices.
Whoa! Y'all hear what the scribe just added to this? See, they would have got caught up in the burnt offering and sacrifices. Right? What's the greatest? Well, we got to do this because we got to atone. So the Day of Atonement might have been right. They would have threw a lot of different answers. But you see how this scribe had some understanding. He was like, oh, master, you right. We gotta there's one God, and we gotta give him all our, heart, soul, mind, and strength, and we need to love our neighbor as ourselves. Master, that's right. Because this is greater. He's putting his word. This is greater than burnt offerings and sacrifices. Now, he could have got condemned by a lot of people for this statement, and he probably did. But this brother was close. He was close to this thing because what? He was really sincerely probably reading, put a state like, yo, no, this master, that was a great answer. You on point. All right. Let's see how Christ responds. Because a lot of people, they always throw the scribes and the Pharisees and throw them all under the bus. Don't throw them all under there. All right. As the powerhouses, they were against Christ, right? But you had always some sincere ones that was really trying to learn it. All right. Just like there's in some of these churches, there's some sincere ones that just haven't been maybe exposed to the truth and things of that nature. All right. But we pray that the Most High draws them out. All right. Let's read what was that? Verse 34. Verse
34.
34. All right.
And when Yahushua saw that he answered discreetly, he said unto him, Thou art not far from the kingdom of God. And no man after that durst ask him any question.
All right. He shut up shop with that. All right. But you see what Christ said? He said, he seen how the brother answered that question. He said, You ain't far from the kingdom. See, a lot of them was caught up on the burnt offering sacrifice. They wouldn't even hear that. But this brother realizing and how he answered Christ, like, oh, you ain't far. You ain't far from me. You close. You real close. Okay. All right, let's go back to Deuteronomy 6. Anybody that can see that and realize this thing is all about serving God with everything we have and treating other people like we want to be treated, if they get that understanding, they not far from this thing. Okay. They at the door. All right. I ain't saying they all way committed, but that understanding right there, that's what this thing's about. If they can grasp that and continue building off of that, the kingdom's there. They gonna receive the kingdom. All right. All right, brother Kai.
6.
6. Thank you.
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So this is what we need to understand, beloved. These words he commanded, it should be in thy heart and that mind. You think about people that love something, it's always on their mind, right? You always talking about it. You love the conversation about it. You're surrounding somebody, right? That's when this thing is on your heart. He's saying, I want these commandments to be on your mind. On your mind so much that what? Usually what's on your mind is going to spill out your mouth. So if the commandments and word of God and all that stuff is on your mind, that's going to be your conversation. And that's what he's saying. And thou should teach them diligently. Because this thing is, you're filled up with the Spirit, you're going to what? What you utter is going to be feeling. Your children, right? You should talk to them when thou sittest in the house or y'all sitting around. Talk to them about the Lord. We talk about everything else. Talk to them about God. Walk is by the way. Discuss me. Basically saying every form of fashion. When you're lying down, this is what we want to do. When I rise up, morning, noon, nighttime, we want to be discussing the Lord. It ain't always, all right, children, come on, let's sit down and do 5 chapters. All right, now noon time to do. Talk about that. Talk about incorporating things. Let them see you thinking the Lord. A lot of times they're teaching what they're viewing, right? Incorporate them maybe in the prayer. What you think about the word of God? What you think about God? Are you thankful for God? All these kind of things. That's part of teaching and what we want to do. And yeah, they should. Maybe they grow up and some unfortunately don't stay in it, beloved. But you should have the reputation with, man. My mom, my dad, they love the Lord, man. That's what they talk about. That's what they do. That's the reputation you want to have. Okay, that you love the Most High God, and they know that they truly, truly want to get favor. They have to submit to the Most High God. That's the reputation we have. That's what the Most High desires from us. Okay, we want to love children, we want to love, but we're going to make sure we're that example. And hopefully we be that shining light to them. All right, they will desire to walk in that light as well. All right, anybody got anything before we keep reading? All right, let's keep going then.
And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates.
Keep going.
And it shall be, when Yahweh thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities, which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things which thou fillest not, and wells digged which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees which thou plantest not, when thou shalt have eaten and be full.
Mhm. So the first part, beloved, you might see, if y'all look at some of the, I don't know what to call them, Jewish people, Othnight, whatever they call themselves, you might see them try to illustrate this. Okay, this is where they'll get the inspiration behind it. All right, I believe this is about. I'm thinking this is talking about more of a spiritual aspect behind it,
Yep.
and they're keeping it on your heart what he's talking about, but they take it naturally. All right, not saying the sin if they want to do it like that. I mean, all right. All right, so and thou shalt bind them a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. So you'll see some of them have like a headpiece, and they'll have like I think it's like a box, right? They have like a box, and I don't know what's in it. I don't know. I guess it might have some of the writings of the commandments or something. So you might see that, and you'll see sometimes they'll have like a black. I don't know if it's leather. I don't know the material, but you'll see them have like wrapped around their arm. This, if you ever see it, this is what they're getting it from. Okay, so they're taking it should be a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between our eyes. So they put it on their forehead, and thou shalt write them as a post of thy house and on thy gates. So some people write certain things on the post of their house, the gates. I think I was watching one Jewish show. They will have it like right on the doorway. They'll have this little, I don't know how it is, almost like I guess like a scroll thing. Some of them have. I don't know if there's different breakdowns, so I want to misrepresent them, but they'll have it and they'll kind of observe that. Some of them touch it, some of them do a little kiss or some little thing. Tradition they'll do with it. But this is once again where they get it from. Now, somebody can, if you want to put something on the front of your gate, some people put the name of God and or they'll put the in the Hebrew, whatever. If you want to do something like that, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing to visualize. Some people, even like with the friends, it's a good visual aid, right? So you see, okay, right? Maybe you haven't get frustrated, overwhelmed, and then you see it and it puts you back in that remembrance. All praises for it, right? But just wanted to give that point. Go ahead, Op.
Yeah, Shalom family. I just want to say this. This is what Yahweh Shah was teaching, when he said if your right hand offend you, you cut it off. You know, the people understood that, but a lot of people don't understand that the day that Yahweh Shah, he was saying certain things and he was actually teaching the law.
Mm-hmm.
When you bind them upon your hand, Yahweh Shah, when he was saying, if your right hand offends you, cut it off. He was just saying, think of the commandments. You know what I'm saying? He said, if your eye offend you, pluck it out. These commandments is supposed to be on your mind. You know what I'm saying? That's frontlets. What do you say between your eyes? What's between your eyes? That's your brain up there. You know what I'm saying? So he basically saying, keep the commandments in a different way. And with that, I yield, beloved.
Great point. Great point. And this is good edification to realize, beloved, we understand even with certain natural things, right? And I'm not opposed to natural things unless it goes against the word of God. All right. You always do more if you want to do natural things and things that keeps with you so you can understand it. However, we always understand that what? If that thing ain't in your heart, your spirit, doesn't matter what you do. Okay. Even with the fringes, right? We know fringes, we know the sign, God broke it down. You look at his commandments. We understand that, beloved. You can have fringes on and be one of the biggest heathens. The fringes that was there to be like, all right, this is going to stop you from sinning. The only thing that stops you from sinning or converts you over from sinning to doing what's righteous and holy is what? That spirit, that mind. That mind has to go through a change. We have certain natural and carnal things, right? Just like even baptism, right? If somebody's a devil and they go down that water and they come up, they just gonna come. They went down. It was a dry devil and they came up a wet devil. It ain't going to just force it. The change have to happen in here. Okay. Some of these things are helpful tools, but it has to happen in here. Like Brother Kai saying, it has to be here. Okay. All right. Good point. Where did we leave off?
Verse 12.
Okay, you read down there. Okay. Yes. So when he's saying, I'm going to give you the land, but listen to what he's saying, beloved. I gave you this land that have good and great cities that was built. Guess what he's saying? It was built. You didn't have to build, which thou buildest not. This is what God gave. He said, I gave you cities that was built. I didn't just give you no barren, wasted land. I gave you cities that was already prepared. Good things, right? That you didn't have to fill. I gave you wells that you didn't have to dig. Vineyards and olives, but you didn't have to do no planting. Do y'all see how he blessed us? It ain't just, I gave you this land. You remember, you got to work the land, beloved. Remember, they was going through, right? When they was going through the deserts and the wilderness and stuff, right? Sometimes they had to dig up a well to get the water. He said, I took in this land, and guess what? It's already prepared and furnished for you. It's one thing, all right, I give you the house and everything, all right, you got to build your house and do everything to it. And when somebody's saying, listen, I give you this big old nice house, it's already furnished, everything working. You don't got to do you just move in and treat it right. That's why he said, move in and do right. So you see, when he's talking about giving back to the Lord, just give you stuff that he already gave you. When they're breaking back their tithes and everything, saying, I already blessed you with all this stuff. It should be a light thing to go and give that appreciation. But someone was still, ain't trying to offer nothing to the Lord. Okay? The Lord did all the heavy lifting. He gave you land and made it already furnished for you. Did all that for you. Okay? We had it very great, beloved. All right? But let's keep going. Let's keep going. Verse 12.
And beware, lest thou forget Yahweh, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt fear Yahweh thy God and serve him, and shalt swear by his name.
This is very, very important. Why is he putting that you may forget? All right. So when thou have eaten the full, so y'all, I gave y'all some gardens and stuff. And guess what? When thou hast eaten and be full, then that's what he's saying. Then beware, lest thou forget the Lord. When do usually people forget the Lord? When they got everything, right? See, when you're struggling, right, you lose the job and all those kind of things. We remember the Lord. Lord, help me. Please, I need you. I need this thing, right? But soon as sometimes we get that job, we getting good. Guess what? The first thing we ditching is him. The devotion to him, done. Right? He was coming to all the class, he was praying, might even do some fasting, all that stuff when you was going through it. But soon, see, that's when you was hungry. But as soon as you get filled, now you're like, I'll need that. Okay. And this is, let's go to Proverbs real quick. Proverbs 30. Yeah, I think it's probably 30. Proverbs 30. And we're just gonna go right to the point. Let's go to verse 9. Proverbs 30, and let's go right to the point at verse 9.
Lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is Yahweh? Unless
Mhm.
I be poor and still and take the name of my God in vain.
All right. So you see the two conditions. I'll be lacking when I feel like I'm lacking. That's that hunger and thirsting, right? A lot of times people will what? They'll compromise their faith, they'll compromise things of God, and they'll do something and break the law, right? I'm starving, I don't got nothing to eat, but I'm about to go and steal, right? So he's saying, I don't want to be poor, right? And I give into my condition and break the law and steal and take that great name that you bestowed upon me as a child of God, right? And I take that in vain by doing something that is not the characteristics of the child of God. However, the first part, least I be fooled. Then he just said, at least I be fooled what? And deny thee. Here's the other side of it. I can be fooled and deny thee and say, who is the Lord? Lord, I need Lord for. I'm good. Bills paid, got my, head's good, all that. I'm good. What I need Lord for? So these are true conditions. This is why it's good to be content. All right. But this does not mean, going back to Deuteronomy, this does not mean if you have a bunch of substance, now you done forgot the Lord because no, no, no. It's what you're doing, beloved. All right. A lot of broke people forgot the Lord. A lot of rich people forget the Lord. It depends on the individual. It depends on the spirit of the person. Okay. If you put your faith in your substance, that's the problem. When you believe I accumulate this is about me and I'm good, I don't need the Lord, that's when it's the problem. All right. But if you acknowledge that the Lord gave you all you had and that, it's not changing your walk and getting away from your duty to the Most High, it's all good. Right. So we go back. All right. So least thou eaten and be full and beware, lest thou forget Yahweh, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Because once y'all start living good, y'all gonna forget. All right. Y'all gonna forget and start doing things. When he's saying forget, is it out their mind like, oh yeah, I forgot the Lord brought us out of Egypt? No, we won't keep it in mind. We don't keep that priority. We gotta serve the Lord. This everything we got from the Lord. And we need to acknowledge it. We need to praise him and thank him for that. That's what happens. All right. That's what he's saying. Don't forget. Don't forget what I've done. We better remember the Lord. Let's keep going, Brother Kai.
Ye shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you. For Yahweh thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of Yahweh thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth.
Very, very important. That's very, very important. Um, sorry. When we go here, you're gonna remember this for the next chapter because we'll probably come back here. Ye shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you. Right? Once again, next week when we go to the next chapter, you'll see what I'm talking about. But when you're dealing with the intermingling, this is one of the big things about intermingling. By the Most High, I always like that separation with certain things because we will take on their gods. When we make marriages, okay, when you make leagues and marriages and covenants with other people, right? If they are tied to whatever false god they have, right? And then you make a league or a pact with them, what happens? That's saying we're joining together. Can light join together with darkness, beloved? Can righteous join with unrighteousness? No. So when somebody is on this level of they are doing something serving other gods, there's no way y'all are going to be able, all right, to be in leagues with them in that sense. Should not marry into something like that because that's creating a bound thing that we're binding or we're trying to mix these two and they will not mix. It will be chaos. All right. The Most High does not promote you trying to mingle with somebody that's doing another God. No. Spirit don't push you to do that. Okay. However, all right, if they're dealing with something, they need to denounce their God, submit to our God. Now they're in the righteous place. All right. But do not make a commitment when they're outside of it. Okay. They need to make the commitment after they've been converted. All right. It's a headache. And we got examples through the scriptures of what happens with that. Okay. All right. You should not make gods, for I'm a jealous God. We know he's a jealous God. And what's going to happen? Lest his anger, all right, be kindled against us and destroys off the face of the earth. That's the problem. We're going to go, and 9 times out of 10, we're going to what? We're going to start dealing with their gods. We're going to start compromising ourselves to their gods. And very smooth. They'll do some things with all, okay, I'll Sabbath, or okay, we'll do the eating thing. All right. But then, okay, well, it's around Christmas time, so let me throw that tree in here and do something like that. Now they say, well, I gave up some stuff for you. And now you upset, like, no, that ain't how it works. Right? No, that's not how it works. You got to do That's the problem. We can't compromise. What America said, we don't compromise with terrorists. Right? We don't negotiate with terrorists, right? So you can't negotiate with those things. And once they creep that thing, right? And that idol, that God they're dealing with, they creep it in there. And now you don't want to speak out against it because it might cause issues, right? God can be jealous. And that's what he's saying will come about. All right. And like I said, you're going to see some of these examples as stories go on. We read verse 16, okay? So ye shall not tempt the Lord your God, all right, as ye tempted him in Massa, all right? If we don't know what that point is, let me I think it's X, yeah. We're gonna hold this, Kyle. Let's go to Exodus 17 real quick, and we're coming right back. Beloved, we're gonna come right back. Exodus 17 and verse read verse 1 and 2 for me. Exodus 17 and verse 1 and 2.
All the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin after their journeys, according to the commandment of Yahweh, and pitched in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore the people did chide with Moses, and said, Give us water that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, Why chide ye with me? Wherefore do ye tempt Yahweh?
All right, they start getting sassy, as they say, getting sassy with Moses. All right, but you're like, listen, you ain't coming at me. You tempt the Lord with how you coming at me. Because a lot of people see they're gonna go with what they see. They're gonna do with the leader. All right, that's what they're gonna complain and do that stuff to him. All right, but he's like, listen, you ain't attacking me. All right, read verse 3.
And the people thirsted there for the water. And the people murmured against Moses and said, Wherefore is this that thou hast brought us out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst?
Now jump down to verse 7.
And he called the name of the place Massa and Meribah because of the chiding of the children of Israel and because they tempted Yahweh, saying, Is Yahweh among us or not?
Boy, that's Israel, boy. That is us. All right. So once again, they called the name what? Massa. So this event is what inspired that. Let's go back to Deuteronomy. So just remember, I was talking about history. Sometimes you'll see, like in our history, we're gonna have certain lands and spots that are gonna have names like that. But if you go to somebody else's history, they're not gonna call it this, right? Because that's not part of their experience and stuff and their naming. Okay. So that's a crazy statement. Is it how amongst us or not? Oh, Father, help us. All right, let's go back to this. That was 16. All right, 17.
You shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahweh your God, and his testimonies and his statutes, which he hath commanded thee. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of Yahweh, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which Yahweh sware unto thy fathers.
All right, we talk about reiterating the same thing we've been talking about that the Bible continually talk about, right? Do these commandments, these statutes, these testimonies, be diligent upon them. All right, do what's right in the sight of the Lord. All right, and everything will be okay. All right, you will possess this land. I didn't give you this land intended for rent. I didn't do it for a certain time period. I gave you this land that you have it. It's yours. All right, that's what I intended for. This is yours forever. That is how he's looking at it. He's trying to let them know. Just listen and do what I tell you, and you're good. Right? This great land, this fruitful land we have. All right. He's saying it is yours forever. It's your possession. This is the promise, right? Just do what I say. Let's keep going.
Cast out all thine enemies from before thee, as Yahweh have spoken. And when thy son asked of thee in time to come, saying, what mean the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Yahweh our God hath commanded you?
All right, cast out all the enemies before us, right? But also when the son asks and the time to come. So there will, when children come, we start doing certain things. Children ask, well, why do we do this? What's the reason of this? What's the purpose of this? It's a good opportunity. This is a good teaching moment. Most High don't say run away from it. Just say, you just need to listen to me, right? No, we can expound on it. The same verbiage you use them even when we do the past. So we said, when you do the service, they're going to ask, what be the meaning of this service? This is what children ask. It's natural. Why are we doing this? Then we give them explanation of it. Okay. And if you'll not explain certain things, that's perfectly fine. This is why we have, the brothers and everything that supposed to be studying everything to hopefully be able to give the answer. All right. So don't feel ashamed if you don't know the answer. All right. However, go and seek the answer so you'll be able to share it next time with whoever's asking for it. All right. Anybody got anything before we keep going? All right. Let's keep going, brother.
And thou shalt say unto thy son, we were Pharaoh's bondmen in Egypt, and Yahweh brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand.
Huh?
And Yahweh showed signs and wonders great and sore upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes.
Gone.
And he brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in to give us the land which he sware unto our fathers.
That's why he delivered us, so he can give us the land that he promised to us. Read. Let me finish it up.
And Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh our God, as he hath commanded us.
Right. This shall be our righteousness. If we submit and do the things that he told us to do, this will be our righteousness. We'll be good. This is what's right to us, to our nation. We did this. Okay. They don't go away. This is why I'm saying the laws is bad. It's like, then why he's setting us up then? Why would he's telling us it's good? We'll keep the promise and everything if we continue to be diligent and do what he says. Okay. And then now years later, oh yeah, that was all crap. That wasn't necessary. No, love. All right. If we want to have peace amongst one another, be able to dwell amongst one another, we're going to have a set of rules that governs us. Love it. That's with any society. You have to have some rules that govern us. Okay. These are the rules that govern all of us. Even the leaders have to be what? Submitted unto that authority. Okay. So this is what the Most High have set for us. This is what gives us peace. This is what gives us, understanding. Right? This is the blessing and the heritage the Most High has given us. And even though we are out the land right now, okay, we know there's a time we will go and possess it again. But even though we're out the land right now, we want to keep these same principles and guides, all right, to help us live peaceable where we at. Right? And even when we gather and do it, these are the guidelines to how we ought to do things. Right? This is what leads us in that righteousness. Right. Anybody have anything else? All right. To our YouTube family, we say Shalom and Ayana Habatham, which means peace, and we love you all. All right. So Shalom and Ayana Habatham to our